I just remember though, like waiting for the helicopter to arrive. I'm like, this cannot be happening.
Now, an event happened while you were cycling, which is part of what we're here to talk about. Can you tell us what that was and what happened?
Yeah, so it was actually a mixture of like my career and cycling because I
Right.
was out in New Mexico,
Hmm.
north of Albuquerque,
Hmm.
for a company offsite meeting, and I brought my bike out.
Yeah.
So I traveled with my bike, and my colleagues traveled with their golf clubs.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to like ride my bike in New Mexico. It was one state that I hadn't ridden my bike yet in. And so one morning I was doing a 2 mile loop. It's going to
Yeah.
do 10 laps, no? And on the fourth lap, a Ford Explorer, an SUV here in this country,
Yeah.
was going about 40 miles an hour. So that's what, about 70 kilometers an hour, I think.
40 miles. We do miles an hour in the UK. It's fine. Just
Okay, so yeah, 40 miles an hour uh, crossed over the center line of the road and hit me head on. And
ouch.
I remember everything about the impact. But I got medevac to the trauma center. I just remember though, like waiting for the helicopter to arrive. I'm like, this cannot be happening.
Yeah.
Um, I uh, I made some bargains with anyone who would listen that I would stop sort of chasing my happiness, which was sort of the pursuit, right, that I had
Yeah. Yeah.
in the early part of my career. The doctors later told my wife they have no idea how I survived
Mm.
because I broke a whole bunch of everything. And also, when my left femur shattered, it lacerated the femoral artery of my left leg. So
Bloody hell. That's really
I
serious.
lost I lost a ton of blood.
Yeah.
So I'm very fortunate that I still have that leg fully intact. I'm
Right.
also very fortunate I didn't lose my leg because of just the trauma.
Yeah.
But that was that that was like a moment that was like a huge inflection point, as you can clearly imagine.
Yeah.
After they operated on me, the first surgery took about 13 hours. I went into the ICU. I came out of the ICU and they told me about the nature of the accident. The driver should not have been driving. He had a revoked driver's license. I
Ah.
was, I was, uh, I was so mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was revengeful.
Oh.
I thought life was unfair. I also like when the hospital got quiet, that's when I really got the depression, the sadness really came to the surface because I thought, well, I know how I was doing life in that whole chasing of happiness, not
Mm.
really knowing how to like release stress. So I would just carry it around with me.
Mm.
Sort of bottle it up. And so I knew like, okay, that wasn't ideal, but like, I had a good career going and we had two young daughters who were
Yeah.
3.5 years old and 7 months old at the time. If I can't be that guy, like who am I going to become?
Yeah.
And I really had a lot of questions about identity. And, luckily, I was then moved from New Mexico to New Jersey.
Mm.
I went to one hospital for more surgeries and then finally a third hospital. So I spent in total initially almost 4 months in the hospital.
Yeah.
And through one interaction, one mentor shared with me, he was like, you know what, everything's neutral, Michael, until you label it. And you get to label this event in any way you want. You can see
Okay.
yourself, you can
Yeah.
see yourself as a victim in all this, and no one would blame you if you came away with that conclusion. He goes, however, you can see this situation
Mm.
much differently. Like you get to choose your labels, right? And
Yeah.
so we're so quick to label things, and so I eventually
I
labeled the
think it's
day.
forgivable
Yeah,
to label that as a
yeah,
really shitty experience. So
yeah, yeah. Well, like totally,
I
it was
think that's all right,
yeah,
mate.
yeah. I was like,
Understandable.
yeah. So I sort
And
of
the
have like
driver was distracted, I believe, as well.
we think, that either distracted or, I think part of the truth was he was coming actually to work at the hotel that we were at, and he was working on our group, setting up our group meeting. And one theory is that he was late to work and he was cutting the apex of the
Yeah.
turn,
Yeah.
and he was not anticipating a cyclist to be on the road, even though it was fine for me to be on the road. He was just not paying attention. He might be flipping the radio station. Back in 2001, it was the time before like really being on cell phones.
Yeah.
But certainly a distracted driver going way too fast for the road conditions. And then like, as you know, things happen. And so now I'm in this state where I'm laid up. I have a long road ahead of me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
uncertain. Um, through one phase of my recovery, I found the power of gratitude. I found the power of mindfulness
Hmm.
as a way to like slow things down so I could get my bearings, get grounded, so I can like approach my rehab with some type of intentions, because everything was
Yeah.
coming at me so quickly. I needed to find a way to slow things down. And I sort of pulled a page from all my days playing sports when I was younger.
Yeah.
Anytime there was a real critical moment in a match or a game, the coach would always, either call a timeout just to give us a break, but they would always say like, just try to breathe. And so I was trying to find some space just to make sense of everything that
Yeah.
was happening. And so that was
Sure.
those two practices, the practice of mindful meditation and the practice of gratitude, really helped, ground my recovery. And I feel very fortunate that my body responded
Mhm.
in a great way for me to like now continue to ride my bike. Many people go through like situations like mine, and their body just doesn't respond in the same way mine did. Right. So
So
there are
tell
definitely
me,
things that I did,
tell
but
me on a
I also,
practical level, because I guess most people think they know what mindfulness is. I'll ask you what you think it is in a moment, but just
yeah.
the gratitude thing, it sounds very hug a tree. I mean, what,
Yeah.
I mean, and it sort of is, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
It sort
Yeah.
of
But
is.
yeah.
But how did you practically get involved in being grateful? What did you do? Was it just some thoughts, or did you do any exercises? How did you learn about it? How did you come across it?
So I came across it through someone that reached out to me because I was getting a lot of phone calls and, talking to one friend who is sort of in the hug the tree category of friends, like a little bit of the woo woo friend,
Right.
like not
We're all
not a
gonna have
serious,
somebody who hugs a tree in our life.
yeah, like not a serious business person friend,
Yeah,
but
no,
like because I knew no serious business person back then was practicing gratitude.
but
God
they
forbid.
will be now, I'm telling you.
But hopefully, yes. So and she brought up the whole practice of gratitude. And I was like, well, what do you do? And so she goes,
Yes,
well,
go
this
on.
is what I
That
this is
would be
what I
my
do.
initial. What?
Yeah, yeah. And so
Hang on.
from
Gratitude for what? I've got no legs on my
yeah,
body,
well, baby,
busted up. Where am I? What are you talking
because
about?
I was in a little bit of like, I've lost everything. Like
Yeah.
I was really focusing on everything that I couldn't do anymore or didn't have. And she's like, well, gratitude helps you see what you still have and what you still can do. So I sort of took what she shared with me, and then I had an evening practice because the demons in my head, the like crazy narrative,
Yeah.
got really loud when it was time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So before I went to bed, I just tried to list off, and sometimes I would journal about it, but I have horrible penmanship. So
Yeah.
I would write something and I would be like, what did I just write? I have no idea. Like,
Nobody can read my writing.
like no one can read my,
Least of all
like
men.
I had
Yeah.
no worries about people reading my diary
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
no one,
Because
because I
you've got to
couldn't
make
even read
sense
my
of it.
diary.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But I would spend about 5 to 10 minutes before I really drifted off thinking, okay, what were some things that were really good about today?
Yeah.
And that helped balance out like all the things that were really a challenge and a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah.
And
But
so
there's
that
lots.
became the start of the practice.
There's a lot of neuroscience to back all this stuff up. And the
Totally.
best explanation I've heard of it is a metaphor. Imagine yourself, your mind as a garden. Imagine you as the gardener, and you've got a decision to make. which plants do I put in the sunlight? Which plants do
Yes.
I water? Now, they could be the plants of depression and anxiety, or they could be, for example, the plants of gratitude and
Yeah.
um, positivity. And there's a literal truth to that. Whatever we think about, we build stronger neural networks around. So there's a lot of
Yes.
evidence base, but it's sort of it does feel a bit woo-woo when you first come across it, though. It's
Oh,
quite strange.
totally. Yeah. Like even to this day, like, and
Right.
we have come far, but when I talk to my, you know, leaders that I work with and coach, they're like, what?
What?
Like, I'm
What?
not gonna, I go, yeah, just, what, maybe start the meeting with like, you guys share like what's working, like you don't even have to call it gratitude. They're like, no, 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 we have to get down to business,
Yeah.
like, um, but there is a lot of great research that supports the practice. And, I've been doing it now, that practice at night for, since 2001. And what I've been able to do then, even when I'm having a tough moment, like during the course of the day, I can catalog that away. I can see other things that I'm
Yeah.
grateful for. So now it becomes a little bit more of a way of living than, say, a thing to do right before bedtime.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
so, and and even as I mentioned earlier, my dad going through a little bit of his health challenge, I've tried to bring it to him, like, hey, Dad, what's something that's good that's already happened today?
Yeah.
He's like, let me think, like, and sure enough, he's able to think of a couple different things. I'm like, okay, so that's something, just as a counterbalance to the analogy that you used, like to plant in the garden.
Yeah.
And we can still acknowledge that the current situation is really tough.
Mm.
It's less than ideal. It's muddy. It's all of that. And at the same time, there are things that are really positive in one's